Ladies and gentlemen, this next story I'm about to tell you kind of comes together with things I have done in the past. I try to do the exoneration videos because you need to see how deep and how far this country has gone in jailing people with no regards to putting someone behind bars that didn't even commit a crime. They really seriously don't care. See, as long as we are the targets, they have no concern whatsoever. So, Illinois did something unprecedented, and I'm sure there'll be more states following behind what they have done. So, cash bail disproportionately impacts, they always have to say, communities of color, and they know it impacts what they call the black community more than anyone else. And they know that when they write these stories, y'all. Mm-mm. So this starts out with a man in Illinois by the name of Shannon Ross. Shannon was incarcerated for no reasons. He was brought up on weapon charges and found not guilty. He spent several months in jail before he even got a trial date. Time got around to case. He lost his home, he lost his car, his job, and all the time he could have been spending with his children. His bond was set at $75,000, which he said he absolutely could not afford. So he got stuck in there all that time. And when he got out, he talks about how his life was destroyed, not on a physical level, but even mentally and psychologically. His life was ruined. By the time, he went to court and they found him not guilty. He said, I had to lose everything to prove I wasn't guilty, he told the Associated Press. It messes with you mentally, psychologically. It messes up relationship. It messes up the time you put into building your life. But Illinois is about to overhaul the system and upend Ross's life. So, the Illinois Pre-Trial Fairness Act, which abolishes the cash bail as a condition of pre-trial release, and it will go into effect September 18th, making Illinois the first state to end cash bail and a testing ground for whether and how it works on a large scale. So a judge can still keep people accused of serious crimes behind bars pre-trial. And that is jacked up because let's face it, in order for all of these innocent people to constantly end up behind bars, it tells you the judge, it's not just the judge, it's the entire system. But in this instance, they're letting the judge decide, which means there's always going to be a stream of innocent people still going in there. And these judges, many of them are just as bad as these corrupt cops they got out here. They're just as bad. You remember 2 weeks ago, I did a story on a judge where they had to let a defendant go because this judge sat in the courtroom on the bench talking about, you look like a criminal. These people got a lot of nerve saying anything like that to any of us. They got a lot of nerve. Look at their track record. That's why you're sitting there trying to change your history. And then, y'all, if you go back and look at their history in Europe, their history was horrible over there too. It doesn't matter whether we look in the past or present, your history is not going to look better either way. So they got these corrupt judges making the call, which means it's never going to end with all kinds of people going behind bars that shouldn't be there. So they're saying, the judge can make the decision, but they have to still go through a more rigorous review of the case. Critics say the bail policies are especially unfair to Black people. A 2022 federal civil report on cash bail systems found that courts tend to impose higher pre-trial detention penalties on Black people, citing a study that showed Black men receive bail 35% higher than white men that commit the same crime, and 19% higher than Latino men. The Cook County Public Defender, Sharon Mitchell Jr., described Illinois' previous cash bail system as a cousin to slavery. The vast majority of the people in the system are poor and they're Black. They have no power. It is an incredibly unfair system, he said. You go to a bond hearing, it sounds like a slave auction. People are talking fast. They're putting price tags on people's freedom. Between 1970 and 2015, there was a five-fold increase in the number of people jailed before trial, according to a 2020 U.S. Commission on Civil Rights report. The data showed more than 60% of defendants were detained prior to trial because they couldn't afford to post bail, and that nearly 74% of 631,000 people jailed daily in the US are awaiting trial. Now, last week they were talking about Fulton County because we've heard about how horrible it is. And I did a story on a young man that was eaten alive by bugs in his cell. And they talk about how horrible the conditions are. Well, when I was looking at some of the stories, it was saying that people in there, some have been behind bars for years and still don't have a trial date. I thought you were entitled to a speedy trial. Then that's not a speedy trial. And if you're not going to be able to stay within your guidelines, y'all set the rules, and then you don't stay within the guidelines of your rules, then you should let those people go. They should not be in there for years. What do y'all call that? Cruel and unusual punishment? I guess not. I guess that just doesn't apply to us. So, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let me get back to the story. Typically, in state courts, a judge decides if a defendant poses too much of a threat to the community to be released. If they can be freed with conditions according to the nonprofit Bail Project. Some states have tried to ease cash bail rules. I know they have in my state, and they have in New York. So in 2017, New Jersey essentially replaced its cash bail system with a risk assessment process that gauge the potential danger a released defendant could pose to the community. But cash bail is still allowed in some instances in the state, and others have curtailed the practice, such as New York and Alaska. California has made several efforts to reform its cash bail system, but lawmakers balked at sweeping reform. Yeah, because they don't want to lose all the money they're getting. That's what they want. They want the money. They don't care who's innocent and who's guilty. The way they run the system, it's very clear. These people don't give a crap about no crime. They really don't. They talk all that crime mess left and right. But at the end of the day, if you were about crime, you would go above and beyond to make sure you had the right people in there, and you don't. So you don't care about no damn crime. Go somewhere and sit down. But New Jersey data shows that the state moved away from cash bail, and numbers of defendants who were charged with a new crime or who failed to appear in court remained steady. So in Illinois, state minority leader John Curran, a Republican representing suburbs southwest of Chicago, said he's not opposed to changing the system, but want judges to retain more power than Illinois' new law grants. I think that's a mistake. Your judges function almost similar to the police. No, that's not a good idea, Republican. So, anyway, I've always said that New Jersey has done this mostly right, Curran said. All felonies are put before a judge, and a judge can consider if a person is a danger to the community or a willful flight risk or whether there is a history of intimidating witnesses, and they can detain those standards, and it gives the judge full discretion. Yeah, well, the judge also does a lot of harm to the community when they jail innocent people. The judge can be just as dangerous as the criminal, in my opinion. All right, so the loudest opponent to the change in Illinois has come from law enforcement. Oh, they gonna lose some money? Is that what it is? Wow, I really don't care. So yeah, so law enforcement is protesting, them abolishing the cash bail. Like that's real shocking. That's not shocking. So it goes on and says that in such cases, the judge will weigh several different factors in deciding whether to keep somebody jailed, including evidence, previous convictions, and whether the person is a flight risk. Okay, then do you also factor in when a cop or prosecutor is withholding evidence that could free a person? Because y'all do that a lot, a lot. Mm, mm, mm. So it won't make the system perfect for everybody, but it will do, we think, is put us in a better position to make a more thoughtful decision, Mitchell said. So, we'll see how it works. I can see more states probably in the future adopting this. I don't see all states doing it because, some states depend on that money, whether you're innocent or you're not. They just want the money. That's why they lock people up now because they do it for profit. That's why there's so many innocent people in there. It's not about crime, it's about profit. So, y'all, please tell me what you think about this video. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.